listening to Sports Radio Detroit. Welcome to Grave Discussions. I am one half of your ghostly host duo, Barnabas.
And I am the other half, Samael.
Welcome one and all to a very, very special episode. Not only is this our final episode of 2021, where we'll be covering our top 10 list, but this is episode 100. And
Can you believe it?
I cannot believe it, my friend. It's titled Top 10 Terrors of 2021. I can't believe it's been 100 episodes already. It's insane. I mean, if we didn't have the pandemic and everything else going on, we'd probably be like, way higher than that, but it's still insane.
Still, though, we have over 100 hours of our voices talking shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you haven't gotten
on the
sick of us
interwebs
yet,
forever.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Yeah, if you haven't gotten sick of us yet, then, just wait. But no, thank you so much to everybody who has listened, contributed, been a guest on the show. We're going to try to get even more people onto the show in the future and just expand like crazy. But honestly, I just love coming on here and talking about horror regardless of anything. So thank you again, Sam. It's always a pleasure. I wouldn't rather be doing this with anybody else. So
Same.
Yeah, I think we're in for a really cool episode. Stay tuned. I haven't told you about this, but I figured, it's the 100th episode. We might as well do something kind of cool. So after the news segment, I'm going to announce something kind of cool. Nothing crazy, but just like, a way to show our support. I think it'd be kind of fun. So we'll do that pretty soon. But first of all, we do have to say, of course, as always, thank you to Sports Radio Detroit. Got to give them a shout out.
Every single time. Hello, Sports Radio Detroit. And you can catch Sports Radio Detroit on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can also check them out on sportsradiodetroit.com. That is sportsradiodetroit.com. SRD, not Detroit Sports Radio.
You got to get it right. So go check them out. There's plenty of other incredible shows on their website and anywhere else you can find podcasts. Right now, we're going to get into the news segment, and then we'll have some words from some other SRD shows, and then the main segment. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be going over our top 10 lists, which is always one of my favorite podcast episodes to do, just because we get to gush about our favorite horror movies of the year. So
Yes.
First of all, a bit of sad news, and then we're going to bring it back. But we do have to acknowledge a recent death, unfortunately, very sad. Anne Rice, author of the Vampire Chronicles novels, has passed away at the age of 80.
And that's crazy. I can't believe she just at 80 just had a fucking stroke, man. That's the age where all that shit happens, man. That's the age where if you want to live to see 90, you gotta fucking start taking your medicine, start walking, start doing everything you can do to keep yourself alive. But for some people, they just wake up one day, go halfway through their day, and then boom, stroke. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, man, it's absolutely insane. I don't even know how many people of our generation are gonna make it to the age of 80, but
not many.
Yeah, probably not. But that I don't know. It's insane. You really got to take care of yourself. I don't know her circumstances at all, but it's just insane. But she's a legend in the horror community. Unfortunately, I have not read any of the books, but I think most seasoned horror fans have probably seen Interview with the Vampire.
Oh yeah.
Awesome, awesome movie. And I mean, I've heard the book is probably even better, so I plan on probably checking it out one time. But there's so many other books in that series, and she's just been around for such a long time writing, so it's absolutely crazy. I mean, I think this might go kind of like underlooked or overlooked rather as far as the news goes, but yeah, I think it's a huge loss for the horror genre in general.
It's fucking depressing, man. It's always sad when a legend dies. Like that's why like every night I go to sleep praying that nothing happens to John Carpenter.
Yeah, dude, I know. He's up there too. So, I don't know. It's crazy. Yeah, so many horror icons are now quite old, even like Tony Todd and all those guys, man. But I guess the one thing is that there are lots of new horror icons like constantly, taking their places, I suppose. So, I mean, there's that at least, but it's always sad when you lose one. So, that sucks. RIP
It's
to her.
wild.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Anne Rice.
All right. Well, let's try and honor her memory and talk about some good horror news at the very least. This should be pretty interesting. I don't know how good this is going to be, but
Oof.
I'm at least curious about it. So, Universal Pictures is apparently developing a brand new take on The Phantom of the Opera. And here's the kicker: John Legend is going to be producing it.
That's wild. And like I don't know, it's gonna be quite different from what we're used to seeing with all these different Phantom of the Operas that came out. I mean, this one's quote unquote set in the sultry nightlife scene of modern day New Orleans, the world of jazz, R&B, neo soul, and funk.
Hmm.
So I don't know where they can be going with this because I don't know shit about New Orleans, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, it is a huge, like, I guess, musical area of the United States. Like, I don't really know much about the history behind it, but as far as I know, uh, there's been a lot of like, well, this type of music, jazz, soul, funk, that has originated from New Orleans, and it's a big part of their culture. So I guess it's not really like illogical that this could be happening. And it looks like the way that like Phantom of the Opera remakes and like reboots work is that they usually hone in on like some different type of like musical, aspect of the world and really kind of change it up somehow, which I think is fascinating. I don't know. The one really kind of more faithful adaptation wasn't that one with like fucking and like Antonio Banderas or something was in it. I don't remember.
I think you're right. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just been like so many reiterations of that fucking movie, and it's
Hmm.
like, I mean, can it be done modern day? Because we're in 2021 now. So like,
Yeah.
are people really trying to see Phantom of the Opera?
I don't know. I think people will probably go watch it just because of like the name recognition,
Oh, for sure.
as with many of these, remakes and reboots or whatever. We talked about it last episode, right? But
Yep.
I think this is probably one of those that might kind of get that side eye, especially with like John Legend producing it. It's like I don't personally know. I don't think he's really been involved with any other like movies or anything. So it's kind of a an odd like producer to be on this, but I mean he does know music, so I guess that makes some sort of sense. I will say the last kind of Phantom of the whatever that was really interesting was Phantom of the Paradise. I don't know if you've seen that, but that was actually a pretty cool movie. Very similar, kind of still had that uh romanticism to it, because the original kind of had that sort of thing going on with it, kind of had that romance angle and with the monster and everything. And that was very similar, but Phantom of the Paradise was really kind of like eclectic and just weird. So maybe if they do something along those lines, I don't know. I think introducing this entirely different type of music into it would be interesting. And as long as they stay true to kind of that romance angle with the monster, then it should at least be intriguing. But I'll wait until I see some kind of like trailer, before I really make my judgment.
Yeah, we gotta judge the quality and cinematography and all that stuff, at least from what we can get from the trailer, to be able to be like, well, this is probably going to be totally trash, or this might be okay. But then again, trailers are very, very unsafe to judge movies on, so
Yeah,
we'll see.
that's true. Yeah, we've been burned before by trailers. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, stay tuned for more information about that one, guys. Next up, I thought this sounded kind of interesting, and then the more I read about it and saw like the images and stuff, this new series actually looks kind of cool. So James Wan is attached to a brand new supernatural horror series that will be premiering on Netflix called Archive 81, and it's apparently inspired by the found footage podcast of the same name. Now, even though we're podcasters, I got to be completely honest with you guys. I barely fucking listen to other podcasts. and I'm,
Yeah,
and
I like true crime and stuff like that.
yeah, but I'm not really super familiar with a lot of other podcasts. So I've never heard of this one in particular. If it's good, let us know and I might check it out. But not really sure what it's about. But apparently there's a series being adapted based on it. This is coming out January 14th, 2022. And there are some images in this article, but it's got a pretty good cast attached to it. And the premise says when archivist Dan Turner takes a mysterious job restoring a collection of damaged videotapes from 1994, he finds himself reconstructing the work of documentary filmmaker Melody Pendress and her investigation into a dangerous cult. Yada yada, something. He becomes convinced he can save her. Something like that, you know?
It's weird how they phrase it. He's convinced he can save her from the terrifying end she met 25 years ago. So it's apparent that she died in these found footage movies, but there's going to be some sort of like twist to this where he can like probably interact with the found footage. I don't know what's going on, but
Yeah.
I'm going to watch the series for sure. But I don't want to be disappointed cuz like honestly, nothing, I don't know, this is how it is for me. Nothing is worse than watching a shitty found footage movie.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with that. And more often than not, they're pretty shitty. I think what this is going to do, it's obviously not going to be all found footage. I think the stuff he's going to be watching obviously is going to be found footage. But because of the whole like narrative aspect of the guy reviewing everything, you're going to have your like standard, you know, cinema style element to it, and then it's going to be the found footage, which at least makes sense. Like in some movies, like okay, I guess I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. This is not in my top 10, spoiler alert, but
Okay.
but you've heard of that movie The Deep House?
Yeah, yeah, everyone's talking about it on these found footage like groups. Is it like a haunted house underwater or some shit?
Yeah, and it's from the same dudes who did that Inside, and I think the same people who did Martyrs, actually, those guys. But they did something a little bit different. It's kind of found footage, but the thing with that movie is that there are like a few parts where it's not found footage. Like it's just, you know, like a scoping wide shot and everything, and it kind of takes you out of it because you're like, okay, that's kind of weird. Like this is like a movie, but then like it wants you to believe it's found footage, you know? And
Didn't we watch a movie? Remember, it was like in 2018. It was like a weird fucking movie that got released on Netflix, and it was filmed like a found footage movie, but like it wasn't a found footage movie. You know what I'm talking about?
maybe, yeah.
It was really shitty. It took
Mm,
place at like a college or something, and there's something going on in like the dorms
okay.
or something, or at some party. I don't fucking remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either, but I'll have to like look for that because I'm curious now. But yeah, there are a bunch of movies like that, and I do agree with this aspect. It's like if you're gonna do a found footage, just make it found footage. You know,
I swear.
don't pull away and like show some kind of like super cinematic, like making it obvious that okay, this was filmed. You know, like yeah, we know it's a movie, but if you're gonna commit to found footage, just commit to found footage. This at least makes sense because it's like found footage within the story, you know, and it's like okay, that makes sense. But the premise sounds pretty cool. I'm interested, and there's some actually talented people attached to this. Rebecca Sonnenschein from The Boys and Vampire Diaries, James Wan, obviously, Rebecca Thomas, who was a director on Stranger Things, will be directing half the debut season, and a bunch of other people. So This one actually seems pretty promising.
Holy shit.
Yeah. All right. So now we have a few trailers, guys, and then we're going to jump into our year-end list. These trailers, honestly, not the most exciting. I will say that it's kind of been lacking. There's been a lot of video game trailers coming out of the Game Awards, which quite a few horror ones, which actually look pretty cool. But I did pick a few movies as well as actually one video game. But the first one, I kind of just picked this one because
So we can talk shit.
yeah, it was sort of hilarious. Mad respect to Danny Trejo, because he's getting his bag, and I respect that. But man, this movie looks pretty bad. Not all of it looks bad. Like, it looks at least kind of competently made, but we've got another La Llorona movie coming out.
I was about to say, dude. I mean, nothing can be worse than the last one.
Man,
At least Danny Trejo's in it, and like, man, if you go to Tubi, he's on like almost every single independent, straight to fucking streaming horror movie on there.
him and Nicolas Cage, like, at least, well, Nicolas Cage now is at least in some like slightly higher profile movies, but Danny Trejo is just in like all the B movie stuff. Basically, like any movie he can. Dude, I'm pretty sure. Actually, I know, I'm positive. He is actually officially on one movie that a guy that I personally know is working on, and that's not to
That's wild.
that's not to talk shit or anything, because like the guy is on my Facebook friends list, and like he actually is a working professional in the industry and everything, but he's no like whatever fucking Martin Scorsese or anything like that. He's a modest filmmaker, right? Modest level filmmaker, and so it's like, he's just kind of working whatever he can work, and hey, that's cool. Like, more power to him. He's making his money. He's acting, and I don't know, he's loving life. So anyway, he's in The Legend of La Llorona, which this states has nothing to do whatsoever with the 2019 movie. Thank God. And this one's coming to VOD January 11th, 2022. And I don't even need to read the premise. I mean, it's basically the same shit. La Llorona stalks some family who's visiting Mexico. I think they're a white family because their names are Andrew, Carly, and Danny. I don't know why they keep throwing white people into this, like, story
Weren't they all
element.
speaking Spanish though in the trailer, or am I tripping?
I don't think the family was. Like, they're in Mexico, so there are going to be people speaking Spanish and everything, but I don't know. Anyway, Danny Trejo's in it. He's like a taxi driver, and he's got a shotgun, and he's fucking.
I was about to say that he was shooting that bitch with a shotgun, man. I don't know what's going on with Danny Trejo and La Llorona, but they got some beef. Maybe she owes him, a few bags of cocaine from back in the day, but
man.
we'll see what happens.
Owes him some pesos.
Right.
Man, I don't know. It looks crazy. Like, up until that part in the trailer, I was like, all right, this looks like kind of a generic horror movie, but like maybe it'll be watchable. And then they're like fucking shooting at her with some buckshot, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, we can't do that. We can't shoot at ghosts with buckshot. That's when the movie becomes laughable. I mean, it was almost laughable until that point, because like, I don't know, the acting seems bad. Everything seems very like cringy and like stereotypical, like stereotypical Boo Haunted House movie, and then Danny Trejo with a shotgun. I don't fucking know.
I don't know, man. We'll see. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, it could be decent, maybe, but I don't know. Anyway, look out for that one, January 11th, if you want. Hey, you can support Danny Trejo, spend a few bucks. Great.
I love him.
Yeah, me too. All right, so this next one is kind of like a double feature trailer thing, because they're both related, so I guess we can talk about them kind of at the same time. But we'll talk about the game first. So a lot of you have probably heard,
oh my god,
we have got a Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game coming out.
Made by Gun Media, the same guys who made the Friday the 13th game.
Oh yeah.
That's where I found almost all of my online friends. And if it wasn't honestly for just starting up like talking to people like that 2017 when Friday the 13th came out, probably would have never met any of my online friends. Probably would have never even met my current girlfriend. So
Yeah.
Thank you, Friday the 13th, and thank you, Dead by Daylight.
Now, I mean, I know you had a positive experience because of that, but are like a lot of people kind of upset about Gunn being involved with this because the
Yeah,
Friday the 13th game has had its issues. So, I mean, is that like pretty legitimate, or like do you still think
that's
they're
fair,
gonna?
dude.
Okay.
Because the very first day Friday the 13th was out, the servers weren't working.
Okay.
And then the next day, you were able to play,
Hmm.
but you would get booted out the lobby. And the only way to not get booted out the lobby is find like 7 other people and host a private lobby, and then you could play a match, which is what I kind of liked anyway. That's how I found all my friends,
Hmm.
and we had our own little group, and we would always play private matches together, so it was fine.
Okay. Well, hopefully they'll address those issues because I know that a lot of people, especially nowadays, are pretty like they don't take any shit. Like if your game is not
No.
working, if your like online is not working when the game comes out, you're probably going to get review bombed and it's just not pretty. So hopefully everything works out okay and hopefully the game is great. There's only a cinematic trailer right now, which does look pretty cool. I'll wait and see what the gameplay looks like, but I suspect it's probably going to be pretty similar to Friday the 13th, if not almost exactly the same. Like one person controls Leatherface and then everybody else is a survivor, that kind of thing. But it'll at least be kind of cool to see like what other adjustments they might make, especially because Leatherface is like not a supernatural being or anything like that, so he's
Yeah.
not
Yeah, there's not going to be any
teleporting,
shotgun blast.
yeah, or like teleporting around the map or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be kind of weird. I mean, he's already on Dead by Daylight, so I don't know like why they needed to make a Leatherface game. Like, I know the new movie's coming out, but like, did anybody ask for a Texas Chainsaw Massacre game? That's never been a thing.
Yeah.
People want a Halloween game. People have been asking about that for years. They want a Michael Myers game, a story-based one, not no 8 against 1, survive the killer type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, honestly, the Friday the 13th game may have almost set like a bad precedent somehow because people do want these like narrative games. We used to have them with like the old Evil Dead games. They would come out and be like story based. And granted, those were on like the fucking PS2 where you weren't really playing with other people anyway. But even now, like multiplayer is such a big thing that like the Evil Dead video game that's coming out, while it looks cool, a lot of people were like really hoping for some kind of campaign or just even a single player game, which would have been sweet, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why exactly we need a Texas Chainsaw game, but we'll see. It could be good if everything is optimized correctly. Then at least it'll probably be pretty fun. But you did mention the movie, and that's kind of our adjacent thing to the game trailer. There's a new teaser trailer out for the movie, which does look pretty cool. I'm actually happy they didn't go full fledged like 3 minute trailer and just show fucking everything.
Yeah, I have no idea what's gonna be happening in this movie.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, I did kind of read up on it a little bit, but if you're unfamiliar, it's just called Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But importantly, the chain and the saw are one word, and
Ah,
there's no the. So there you go, and it's going to be coming out on Netflix. Let's see, February 18th, and it is being produced by Fede Alvarez.
it's gonna be good, I think. But I read the
Hmm.
premise. It's like it's been years since the events of the first movie, and Leatherface, he's moving on with his life, and he's trying to be a good person, basically until some
Mm.
teenagers piss him off.
See, that's the part I don't know about, to be honest. Like the trying to be a good person part. Like, bro, you brutally murdered several college students, and your family have been cannibals for how long? Like that.
And like one of
I
the
don't know.
guys you murdered was in a wheelchair.
Yeah, it's like, how are you gonna try to, integrate yourself into society and like, make up for your sins and everything after all
Not
that? Like
possible.
that's the part that's like, kind of weird to me. Like I don't know what they're trying to do by trying to make us like, connect and feel bad for Leatherface or whatever. I guess we'll find
Yeah, it's
out.
stupid.
We'll find out in the movie, but it's an interesting premise. I guess it's supposed to be a sequel to the original movie. So this is
Yep.
going the David Gordon Green Halloween route. I mean, do you think
Oh
that's a good
my
idea
god.
or not?
No, man. I think they should have like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remake. Isn't that timeline just Texas Chainsaw Massacre and then Texas Chainsaw Massacre the beginning? Like, it's
Mm,
just those two movies. We never got like a follow up with one armed Leatherface or anything. The old continuity is like one, two, three, four, and then we got Leatherface, the prequel, and then we got Texas Chainsaw 3D,
mm-hmm.
which is like supposed to be like the most recent thing that happened. So this movie is just gonna ignore Texas Chainsaw 3D. It's gonna ignore the second one, which is arguably one of the best movies of the 1980s, horror
Mm,
movies. It's like a classic. How are you gonna ignore all
yeah.
that shit that fucking happened and just be like, well, I guess he left his cannibal family and now he's living alone and he's trying to be a good person. He's paying his taxes. Like what?
Yeah. I don't know. It's a very strange decision making. I'm gonna hold back my judgment, but I don't know how I feel about it. To be fair though, the second movie like was pretty fucking campy. So I'm guessing
It was
it
great
was
though.
great, but I'm guessing they want to go away from that and just make it like
Yeah,
strictly
of course.
horror. So I get that, but I don't know. We saw it happen with Halloween Kills. I mean, the Halloween 2018 one was okay, but I don't know. I guess I get it because, that whole timeline is also fucked just like Halloween, so you might as well just ignore it all, but I don't know, man. We've seen what happens, and so like for that reason, I'm not as excited as I want to be, but
Buyer beware.
yeah. I don't know. We'll see. At least it looks like it's filmed pretty decently. I hope they just stick to the
Yeah,
origins and make it scary, and maybe it'll be okay.
yeah, it just needs to be scary. Like keep the fucking characters competent. Don't make them make stupid fucking mistakes. Like if you're gonna ignore the campiness of the 1980s, don't keep the fucking same tropes and all that shit.
Hmm.
Make something new.
Yeah, agreed. So, guys, check that one out February 18th on Netflix. And this last trailer actually is the one I think I'm most excited for because this one actually looks pretty dope.
It looks fucking creepy. I
Yeah.
have no idea what was being said in the trailer, but I read the synopsis and that sounds interesting because there's gonna be some sort of mystery to it. You
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. If you can, dude, try and for all of you as well, if you check out the trailer, there are no subtitles in the trailer, but I did like turn on the closed captions and there's an auto translate option for English. And I don't know how accurate it is, but if you try that in YouTube, I think you should be able to get some kind of like subtitles more or less, but it wasn't anything too important. It was like some little kid saying some creepy shit like, "Oh, this monster's gonna eat me," and he ate like somebody like in the woods or whatever. So I don't know. Anyway, the movie's called Ogre, being directed by Arnaud Malherbe. I don't know how to pronounce that, but it is a French film. So pretty much most things coming out of France and like Spain and those other countries in recent memory have been pretty fucking good. So I'm excited for this one. The synopsis says 6-year-old Jules and his mother, Chloe, land in deserted French countryside. To start a new life, she is accepted to take over the village school, but the apparently quiet community is consumed by the unexplained disappearance of a little boy. Matthew, the town doctor, is not insensible to the newcomer's charm. As he becomes closer, her son Jules grows increasingly anxious, and then he can feel that Matthew is the beast that now wants to devour him and take his mother away. So, yeah, the trailer looks pretty creepy. It looks like it has great cinematography, like a really cool atmosphere. So, if they play that out during the movie and if there is a creature, I hope it's cool and not just strictly some like CGI shit. And I think this could be probably like a sleeper hit, honestly.
It's gonna be some like monster from like Troll Hunter.
That would be dope, honestly. Like those things were terrifying. Just,
I know, dude.
that like scream or whatever in the trailer of this one sounded like it could be something pretty cool. So
I hope it's sick. I hope this movie's not just like a metaphor for like kids hating the new guy who's trying to date their mom after their dad like died or like divorced. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
they look at the new guy as like a monster. Or it could be a movie about pedophiles. Maybe the doctor really is like an ogre, but that's supposed to be like, yeah, he's just a neighborhood pedophile.
Yeah, those kind of themes are really prevalent with movies nowadays. So like, it wouldn't surprise me, but I really do hope that there's something like tangible that we can see and like, you know, and hold on to and everything, and it's not just all thematic. So we'll see when the movie comes out. Unfortunately, there is no release date just yet, but we will stay on top of it and let you guys know. So that's going to do it for all the news, Gravers. Let's take a very quick break. We're going to play a couple words from some other SRD shows that you can check out after you finish this episode. And then we'll be back in just a moment. Stay tuned.
Hi, this is Chris.
And this is Roger.
And if you like Tigers baseball, Major League Baseball, Minor League Baseball, analytics, pop culture references, movies, sports, food, check us out. Look for Tigers SRD on iTunes, Google Play, or Spotify.
Welcome back, you decrepit humans. We are finally into our main segment. I know it's what you've all been waiting for. It's what I've been waiting for. Sam, I'm sure it's what you've been waiting for. Our
Yes.
top 10 horror films of 2021. Now, I'll just start off by saying, in general, I feel like this year, it wasn't bad as far as horror movies go. Okay, I don't want to say that. It wasn't bad. There's always some good stuff that comes out every single year. So I'm tired of people fucking saying, oh, there's no good horror. Like, there's been some good stuff coming out. Even the, like, subpar, like, about average movies, are enjoyable to an extent. Probably, overall, quality-wise, hasn't been as good as the past few years. But, I mean, I still don't think it's been bad. Like, it's been pretty solid.
Yeah, it hasn't been like a horrible year for horror. It's just that like it's kind of jarring when I open up Shudder or Prime or Netflix, and without warning they just drop a new movie, and it's like it was just released this year, and I'm like, it's so hard to keep track of like what would possibly make it to my end of the year list, what would be decent to watch, like what would be good, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's just a problem with media in general now. Like, and I run into the same thing. Like, I literally have to make it a point to watch, like, this movie or that movie because there's just, like, so much shit constantly coming out and it's just overwhelming. Like
Yeah.
if this was my full-time job, I think I'd have less of an issue because I could just watch as many movies, as I wanted and
I swear.
talk about them. But that's not the case. So it's like you got to find time. You got to be in the right mood, and so it's just nuts. But I mean, I tried to watch a decent amount of movies this year, and I'll say not too bad overall. As usual, most of the good stuff came from the independent scene, although we did have a few decent, blockbuster releases. Probably less than usual, though. Like probably the past couple of years, like as far as what's hit theaters, have been a little bit better than what came out this year. But we still have COVID. We're still dealing with that shit. And I don't know. People are maybe just not, taking as many risks. I don't know what's going on, but we still had some pretty good stuff come out. So, we're going to talk about our top 10. First of all, I think we usually start off by going with our bottom few movies. So why don't we start with our, like, I think for reference, how many movies are on your list total? I know you didn't get to watch as many, but just for the sake of, talking about it.
Oh, I didn't list all the movies I watched. I just listed my top 10 on Letterboxd.
Okay. But I think we talked about this off the show, but I think you said you maybe watched like 15 or so, like 2021 movies, something like that.
Yeah, might be a little more. I just can't recall because there haven't been really that many memorable movies.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, in that case, I have my full list, and then I have my top 10. So I'll say mine. My last one, believe it or not, is Don't Breathe 2. Wasn't a fan.
Oh, I haven't seen that
Yeah.
one.
Well, you might like it. I don't know. Some people liked it. I don't know, man. I couldn't get behind it at all. This movie, like, really tries its best to like make the blind man into kind of like the hero protagonist,
I heard
which is
that.
fucking weird, and like overall I just didn't really care for the movie. It didn't really do anything that exciting. The plot was like fucking below average, like just not that engaging, and the characterization, hated it. Next up would be Wrong Turn. Now, I think this movie kind of gets some unfair, flack. I really didn't think it was that bad, but it still ended up near the bottom of my list just because it also wasn't that great. Regardless of whether it has the fucking, mutant hillbilly whatever cannibals in it, I don't really care that much about it because it is a reboot. But as a movie itself, I wasn't a huge fan. It was interesting until it got to like the midpoint of the movie, and then I think it completely lost its way.
Yeah. Was that like at the bottom of your like entire
Yeah,
list?
that was 38 out of 39 movies.
Golly.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, I could have probably placed it a little bit higher, but I just found more value in these other movies. And then after that was Willy's Wonderland with that Nicolas Cage one where he fights the fucking Five Nights at Freddy's things.
Animatronics.
Yeah.
Oh
It
my
was it
god.
was like, I don't know. It was like okay, like it was kind of like mindlessly entertaining, but I don't know. It had too many flaws for me to consider bumping it up, and at the end of the day, there wasn't really like any substance in the movie. Like, and even the campy animatronic parts with Nick Cage fighting them and shit. I don't know. It just didn't really do it for me.
I had a feeling it wouldn't.
So I won't say too much more about that. Those are my bottom three, and then I've got a bunch of other ones. Maybe unsurprisingly, Halloween Kills is down there. I actually have Old down there. Wasn't a huge fan of that one. The Conjuring 3 is kind of down there. Pretty unfortunate because I was looking forward to that one. But yeah. So I have a couple other things here before we dive into the top 10 that I thought could be fun. Apart from that, what would you say was maybe like your biggest disappointment of the year movie wise?
Oh, Halloween Kills 100%. I've been waiting for so long for that fucking movie. And the fact that they took an extra year and it was still shitty is what pissed me off.
Yeah, I know. We already talked about it on the last episode. So if you guys want to know our thoughts, go check out episode 99. But I feel you there. I think my biggest disappointment was probably Titan, actually. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's another French, like, extreme movie. Actually got a lot of positive acclaim. It won the Palme d'Or at Cannes. A lot of people have this movie in, like, their top 10 or whatever. I watched it earlier in the week. Just, I don't know. I didn't vibe with it for some reason. And some people listening to this might take offense to that. I don't know. We can talk about it outside, but yeah, I don't know. It just didn't strike with me for some reason. It felt like there were a lot of like individual elements that were really great, and like the direction and cinematography and everything, performances were all pretty damn good. But it just didn't feel very cohesive to me. Like it felt like it was just trying to do this like body horror thing just for the sake of like doing a body horror thing. And then like it didn't really mesh with the plot or the characters or anything like that, like as well as I wanted it to. So it was just kind of like strange for the sake of being strange. And yeah, I don't know, I wasn't a huge fan of that.
Yeah, no, I usually don't really like all these movies that all the critics are like, wow, this movie was fucking amazing. And then I watch the movie and I'm like, are you guys just like trying to like be like fake woke or something? Like, or like, you just like a movie just is it good just because it doesn't follow a stereotypical formula or what? Like is that like, oh, it's something different? And it's like no, dude, if it fucking sucks, it sucks. Like people try to look for all these hidden meanings in these movies, but some movies are just explicitly what they're about. There's no like subtext. There's no nothing.
Yeah.
It's just fucking shitty.
I mean, this one definitely I think had some subtext and everything. And like I said, it was well crafted, but I don't know. It just didn't come together for me like it did for some other people, I guess, which is fine. I mean, there's definitely just like merit to the movie, but I don't know. It just didn't do it for me. And maybe part of that was me managing my expectations wrong or something because I was like expecting some fucking Oscar like best picture, worthy shit. And for
Yeah.
some people it probably is, but not really for me. So all right, on the flip side then, what would you say was like your biggest like surprise movie, like that you actually like you didn't really know if it was going to be very good or not, but you really liked it? And you don't have to spoil it if it's something in your top 10. It can be anything, just kind of what was like your biggest like positive surprise for you.
It actually is in my top 10, so
Okay, all right, well then we'll
I'm
leave
not gonna
it
touch
we'll
on
leave
that.
it and then we'll talk about it there. For me, I'll try to find something not in my top 10. Mine, I don't know, probably might be. So all right, I'll just say this. I think Malignant, to an extent, is kind of a positive surprise because I wasn't really sure what to expect from that movie going into it. I watched it and like I kind of hated it, but I also kind of loved it. Like some parts of it were incredible. And so I think that that might be one that kind of grows on me. Uh, but that's all I'm going to say about that because yeah, I don't know. And then apart from that, I actually do think probably it would be something in my top 10. So I'm not going to say, but outside of my top 10, I was actually pretty impressed with The Deep House. I thought that one was actually filmed pretty cool. Yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that one. I just think the concept was pretty cool and the execution was cool, but it did have a lot of other things kind of wrong with it. But and then since you only have the top 10, I know we usually kind of go with our runner ups. I'll talk about my 5 runner ups and then we can dive into our list. So at number 15, I have Boys from County Hell. Now this is a kind of a cool little unique vampire movie that I believe was a Shudder original, and you'd probably dig this one. It's not like fresh in terms of like vampire horror, but it's filmed well, acted well. It's pretty funny, pretty creepy at times, and I believe this is an Irish film, so much like that From the Dark. It's got quite
I was just thinking about
a
that.
bit of a different atmosphere. Like it's not quite like that dark atmosphere all the time, but um, I really like this one. I thought this one was pretty cool. At 14, I've got Jacob's Wife, which is another vampire movie. This one has Barbara Crampton in it, and
Oh,
Larry Fessenden, and yeah, she like gets turned into a vampire, and it's like she's like this suburban wife or whatever, and gets turned into a vampire, and then has to deal with it with like her perfect suburban life kind of a thing. It's pretty cool. It's kind of campy, but I actually enjoyed the plot, and Barbara Crampton's always fantastic. The effects were pretty cool, so I like that one. At number 13, I have Censor. Um, Now this one was pretty badass actually. The plot of this one has to do with like that video nasties era of horror. Yeah, with all that, like Cannibal Holocaust and all that shit. And the heroine is like one of those film censors. And then she gets wrapped up in this plot and basically almost plays out like a video nasty like slasher movie. And there's all kinds of really cool visuals, and it gets kind of like mind fucky at parts too. It's pretty dope. I think you'd actually probably like it.
yeah.
At number 12, I have The Empty Man. This one was talked about quite a bit because it's kind of got that like creepy pasta vibe to it, with this like urban legend, and then it's like grows bigger and bigger as this guy like investigates it, and really cool. I would say it probably would have been in my top 10 if there weren't a couple better movies. Like this one was quite long. Like I think if it had trimmed down some of that narrative, probably would have been a little bit more concise and maybe a little bit more watchable. Like it gets kind of all over the place like as the movie goes on. But overall, pretty cool movie. And at number 11, this one might surprise you. I don't know. I have Antlers. So
Oh, I thought that was gonna make it to your top
I know
10.
it almost did. I was like really thinking about putting it in there, but I don't know. I liked the movie. but it just got edged out, I guess. Really cool creature and everything, like cool atmosphere. Apart from that, nothing really like stands out in that movie, you know. But for like a blockbuster creature feature, actually pretty dope. I enjoyed it. And yeah, those are my runner ups. So we'll get started with our top 10 list here. And I've been yammering, Sam. So you can take it away. What is your number 10 movie?
My number 10 movie, because I haven't seen many, is your one of your least favorite movies. It's Wrong Turn, and it was also one of my least favorite movies of the year because it was one of the first movies I saw of the year, and I liked how it was going. I liked the people dressed up as like yaks or whatever the fuck. But then like when it took like it took that weird like tonal shift and like in like what the third quarter of the movie, and then it was just like
Yeah.
we're a mountain cult, and we're like, oh, they're just like weird like homeless Vikings, and then it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I did like how it ended up though. I like the ending. They ended it the way it should have ended, and there was no room for any type of sequel or anything really.
Yeah. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if they did make a sequel, but you're right. Yeah, that's what I was kind of referring to was that whole like last big segment. Like, not only was it like such a huge tonal shift, but they like slowed it down too, like pacing wise, and
Yeah.
it just threw the entire movie off to me. Like they could have probably done something better with that segment, but or like with that idea rather, but I don't know. The way that they took it was like the worst possible way. And so I think that's honestly the probably is one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people didn't like it, apart from not featuring the fucking cannibals, which is a whole other thing. But all right, cool. So Samael has Wrong Turn at number 10. For me, I have Sator. So this one was cool. This one really kind of flew under the radar. So if you're not familiar with it at all, this is I would say probably one of those like kind of art horror movies, but also not really. It's like supernatural, about this guy who is kind of doing some research in the woods on this supernatural entity called Sator that his family, in their history, has kind of believed in.
I think I saw the
And
trailer for this one.
yeah, we might have covered it on the podcast, possibly, but that was a long time ago now, so I can't remember. But his family, especially his grandmother, like believes that the supernatural entity like resides in the forest surrounding them and even influences them. And so he is kind of like out there trying to find some sort of proof of this entity, and he's got like his grandmother's recordings and stuff. And the really cool thing about this movie is that this is actually based on real events, and the grandmother in this movie is the actual grandmother of the guy. I think of the
Oh
director, if I'm not
shit.
mistaken, or maybe the writer or somebody involved with the movie. So like a bunch of the stuff and like the recordings and everything are authentic, which makes it even creepier in my
Holy
opinion, you know.
shit. Where's this streaming?
I would have to check. I think I might have rented it, so I'm
Probably
not
Prime,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's really cool. Honestly, it's got a really good atmosphere, super creepy. Again, it is kind of one of those art things, so there's gonna be parts of it where it's moving kind of slow and might not be to your taste, but I think this one works. It's pretty effective, and yeah, just solid. Keeps you engaged and pretty disturbed. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It is actually on Prime and on Tubi and on Shutter. So
Oh shit. Okay, bet.
yep, so you can check it out. So that is my number 10. Number 9. Sam, what do you got?
For number 9, I have available exclusively on Netflix. There's Someone Inside Your House,
Oh,
which is basically a modern day. Seems like I Know What You Did Last Summer / Screamy, and I like these whole like teens getting killed off by a mysterious killer. It's like a whodunit. Um, I thought the killer was was pretty all right. He before he would kill his victims, he would 3D print a mask of their faces, and then he would go after them. So if you saw him with your face, that meant he was coming after you. And then it was pretty good. The the final girl I could not care for. If she died,
Uh,
like it seemed like she was gonna die at any part in the movie. Like that's how unsure you are if she's the final girl. Even though 100% you can tell she is. She was just kind of like shitty. She didn't have a personality other than the I accidentally threw someone in a fire when I was a teenager.
oh well.
But yeah. And then the ending was kind of lackluster, but like I like the feel of it. Other than the main character and like the ending, I thought it was pretty. It was a fun little teen slasher, and you know I like stuff like that. So like, it wasn't anything fucking groundbreaking. It was just a creepy little whodunit, and you know I love mysteries. So yep, I put it on there.
Nice. I actually have not seen that one yet, but I did come across it on Netflix and it looked, pretty cool. So I will definitely be checking that one out pretty soon. Coincidentally, my number 9 is also kind of a whodunit, but it is
Oh,
not. It is not your movie. This one is Werewolves Within.
oh,
So this one was directed by Josh Rubin, who got a little bit of acclaim for the Shudder original Scare Me. I did not see that one. I don't know if you saw that one, but a lot of people
mm-mm.
liked it. This one's pretty cool. It's a horror comedy whodunit about this new, I believe he's a forest ranger who shows up in this like snowy little town. So you already got kind of a cool premise there. And a bunch of people start getting murdered, and they believe that there's some kind of, animal or whatever causing these murders. And he's kind of tasked with finding out who it is and just, what's going on. So, of course, it's a werewolf movie. But it's cool. The comedy is actually, pretty funny. All the performances are great. It's a snowy town, so there's some cool shots. And the actual horror elements are like pretty good. It does get campy at times, but that really fits with kind of the tone of the movie. Um, and then it's got Sam Richardson, who is known for he's in Promising Young Woman, We're the Millers, Good Boys. He's in a lot of other comedies, Neighbors 2.
I
You'll
think I
you'll
know who you're talking about.
you'll recognize
Was he
him,
in
yeah.
Juno?
No, no. But if you Google him, you'll see who I mean.
Okay.
He was in the Ghostbusters, the the all female one. You'll see what I mean. Yeah, he's pretty recognizable. It's also got Milana Vaintrub, who is known as the AT&T girl. She's in this movie.
Oh, oh my
Mm,
God.
yeah, honestly, cast is really good, and I just really enjoyed it. This is like one of those fun movies to put on just at night, on any regular day, and just kind of have fun with it. And yeah, that's my number 9. So number 8.
Oh golly. All right. It's Halloween Kills. He made it to the bottom of my top 10, unfortunately. Fucking Michael, man. Why? Why do, like, why am I disappointed severely with the last two Halloween movies? Why couldn't they just be good? Why do they have to, like, dude, like, it seems like the dialogue in this movie was, like, written by, like, a teenager who writes horror stories. Like, it was just so bad. I was just glad to see Michael again, and that's why, I put it in my top 10, but other than Michael, this movie has no redeeming qualities. Absolutely none.
Yeah, I feel you. I know we talked a lot about it, so I get it. You just got to watch some more horror movies next year.
I swear.
Maybe, who knows? Maybe Halloween Ends will end up in your top 10 for a good reason, but after these last two, I'm not really sure, man.
Yeah,
I
I'm
can't say
just,
that with confidence.
yeah.
But I understand, and that's totally fair. My number 8 is Come True. This one also flew under the radar, but it's actually a pretty damn cool little sci-fi horror movie, which I think has, if you're looking for those kind of like creepy horror movies, this one I think is one of them. Directed by Anthony Scott Burns. This one is about this young girl. She's like 18, I think, who is having trouble sleeping. She volunteers for this like sleep study at this university, and basically in her whenever she dreams, she sees like these. I can't even really describe it. You just kind of have to see it. It's like she's like, like this weird shit, like phantasmagoric, just crazy shit with these like, basically she's like flying down like a tunnel or something. There's all kinds of weird stuff everywhere, and then it ends up on this like uh black figure who's like faceless except for I think he's got these glowing eyes, and basically she's just trying to kind of figure out what's going on with it, and it gets just crazier and crazier.
Is it
And
on Hulu?
I think so, yeah, I think it is.
Okay.
I would check this
That's
one out. It's got some really creepy vibes.
okay. Bet.
Yeah. Honestly, I really liked it. Really, this could have ended up a little bit higher on my list just because I was pretty into like the atmosphere and tone and everything, and just the plot. But the ending is kind of divisive. Like, I don't really care for the ending that much. It's kind of one of those fake out endings. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh,
But the movie is still worth checking out. And I mean, I thought it was good enough to end up in my top 10. So yeah.
okay.
Number 7.
Number 7. I have one that I was pleasantly surprised by because once it came out, it was very divisive. People were like, this movie was either shit or it was great, and I think you know what I'm talking about. It's Malignant.
Ah, yeah. Like I said, I think this one might grow on me a bit because it's got, I don't know, I feel like it's got that like cult classic quality to it, you
It
know?
does. It seems like a straight out of the 1980s type movie, like some sort of like I Madman or something. That's what it kind of gave me the vibes of, and it was like it didn't get really campy until the end. At some points where when he would kill people, it kind of be, dare I say, actiony. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It would kind of be like some like fucking modern day like Evil Dead type kills. But then like the whole Mortal Kombat killing all those people sequence was
Yeah.
a bit ridiculous. But I was surprised. Me and my girlfriend watched it together, and like we really enjoyed the hell out of that one. Honestly, like it was. I didn't understand what all the hate was about. It's like people have never seen giallo films and never seen like how overly acted and like goofy some of them are. So
Yeah. Well, I guess those were kind of my issues with it was that like I totally got that it was inspired by Giallo and all those old movies and everything, and it was supposed to be kind of like campy. And don't get me wrong, like I think that whole last act and like the reveal and everything, like that's when I was like, holy shit, like this is actually pretty dope. Like
yeah,
even though it was completely over the top, like when all that was happening, I was actually like pretty fucking entertained. So I liked it. And I think the actual like killer is probably one of the better ones we've gotten over the past fucking, I don't know, like 5-10 years. Like pretty
it's been a
unique.
while, dude. Besides
Yeah.
like Art the Clown, there haven't been that many memorable like slashers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this one honestly is pretty cool, but I still I know it's kind of following like that style of filmmaking, but I still can't get past like some of the acting, the story a little bit, like some of that stuff. Like I know it's supposed to be kind of taken with a grain of salt, but like I still can't get past all of it. So it might just take like a couple rewatches or something because those elements I was like not a fan of, even though I understood it was taking inspiration from all those old movies and everything, and it was similar. But I don't know. I'm just gonna have to rewatch it. But I totally understand why it's as divisive as it is.
It will grow on you, trust me.
I think so. Yeah, grow
You just
on
gotta get
in the back of my head.
you just gotta get stupid stoned and watch it, man, like I did.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to watch it, honestly. All right, so my number 7. I did have this one actually up there in like my top 3 at some point, but I just had better movies came out that I enjoyed more. But honestly, really solid movie, solid sequel as well. I am talking about Quiet Place Part 2.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, number 7 for me. Honestly, I thought this one was good. Like it followed up directly after the first movie. We're following Emily Blunt, Sans, Jim from The Office, John
yeah.
Krasinski, and going through the world and trying to like, survive basically. Really kind of has this same general sort of structure as the first one. It's like, they're out in the world and they have to like find a shelter and everything. But I don't know, like I still think this movie was done really well. Had a lot of great suspense, good action. Even the CGI like alien monsters were still pretty fucking great. And then Cillian Murphy was introduced as kind of like the John Krasinski replacement, and I think he did a good job. And this one did kind of build on the world a little bit, and it advanced the story quite considerably. So I enjoyed it. It had its flaws, but I mean, what movie doesn't? But I thought it was well done.
Does it need a part 3? Is it going to turn into some like Walking Dead soap opera type shit?
I mean, there is going to be a part 3 because, like the first movie, this one kind of ends abruptly, where it's like it's going to pick up immediately after, which is kind of the disappointing part. It's like, when I was sitting in the theater watching it and it ended, I was like, wait, there's no more movie? Like, it ended right in the fucking middle of, like, once some crazy shit happened, it just kind of ended. And I was like, okay, there's definitely going to be a part 3.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Which I think will be fine. Like, there's still more story to be told, but I really hope it doesn't turn into some Walking Dead shit. But this one was still pretty good. Honestly, like, I enjoyed it. All right. Number 6.
Number 6 for me, and I don't know if you've heard of this one. It has Amanda Seyfried in it, and it's called Things Heard and Seen, and it's on Netflix.
Yeah, I've heard it, but I have not seen it.
Okay, yeah, oh, good one.
Yeah, thank you.
Dick. So, Amanda Seyfried, her and her husband move from the city to this quiet little, like, neighborhood place in New York. And then, like, she's, like, kind of isolated and some weird shit starts happening around the house. And there's ghosts and shit. And then her husband's, like, a teacher. And then all of a sudden, he gets, like, checked at school. And they're like, hey, we checked your letter of recommendation. And your old teacher says he did not write this letter for you. Or the teacher confronts him. And he's like, how'd you get me to write you a letter of recommendation? I don't remember that. And then he threatens to, like, fucking tell people. So he's like, hey, let's go out on a boat ride. And all this time, like, his marriage with his wife is, like, deteriorating. And then her friend tries to intervene because she figures out, like, the husband did some shit. And then come to find out, the ghosts from the house, some Amityville horror shit happened to them, with, like, the dad and the kids and the wife being, like, murdered and stuff like that. And it was kind of like The Shining too. Like, I don't know how to explain it. You just gotta watch it. This one also ends abruptly, but, like, the ending is, like, really, really visually pleasing. Like, it just ends with, like, this. I don't want to ruin it, but you should definitely watch it. It's super atmospheric. It's super dark. It's super depressing, and I thought it was extremely well done. It just didn't get talked about. I guess it's not, to the taste of some people, but I thought it was great.
Cool. I've definitely heard of it. Like, I've seen people posting, about it on Facebook and everything, but I think it was one of those movies where people talked about it for, like, maybe a week, after its release, and then just kind of, like, slipped back under the radar and nobody really gave it a shot after that. But it is on my list, so I do plan on watching it. So that's a good review. My number 6 is actually one of the bigger horror releases of the year. Okay. And you'll know what I'm talking about. You got to say his name 5 times.
Candyman. Candyman.
Careful.
Candyman.
Oh, watch out, Samael.
There's no mirrors in here.
Black guy just shows up behind you and just hooks you in the
right?
face.
That would suck.
But honestly, like, have you seen the remake?
No, I haven't.
Oh, man. Okay. I think you'll enjoy it, but I really liked it. I thought this was a really well done movie. One of the more divisive horror movies of the year. No surprise there, especially considering the themes and everything. Pretty sure you're at least, like, mostly aware of kind of what's going on in this movie, more or less. But, this one really highlights the racial tensions, going on in, like, the inner city and suburbs and everything. And I guess some people think this movie's, like, championing, Black Lives Matter and all that stuff. And I'm not going to get into all of that. The original movie covered that stuff as well. And this movie is kind of like a spiritual sequel to it. So naturally it's going to cover, black and white relations and all that kind of stuff. And honestly, I think it does it pretty well. But this movie is a little bit different because it follows a different character who he basically, like, gets in too deep with the Candyman myth, and starts like, you know, noticing changes within himself and everything, almost as if he's like taking on the spirit of Candyman, and also having to deal with, you know, these white folks who are like threatening him and his art and everything, and like his friends and family. So it's really interesting. I mean, I think that it's a well produced movie. It looks beautiful. I think it's probably like one of the most cinematographically, that's not a word. I think it's one of the most pleasing.
Cinematically?
Yeah, well, yeah, like cinematography wise is what I meant to say. Like, you
Yeah.
know, like camera technique and everything, visually, one of the most pleasing horror movies, I would say, and just generally impressive horror movies of the year.
I have to watch it.
Yeah, honestly, like it's good. Like maybe it loses its way a little bit with the narrative, like toward the end, but as far as the themes go, the story and everything, I think it works. And the horror elements themselves, I actually think are pretty damn good. So, yeah, this one was just generally like a well-crafted horror movie, in my opinion. So that's my number 6. Now we're getting into the top 5. Samael, what is your number 5?
You're going to be shocked because you mentioned that you weren't a big fan of this movie. And I really don't understand why nobody liked it. It was The Conjuring. The devil made me do it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I thought it was fine, other than the whole, you know, demonizing like witches and stuff like that, and Satanists, because like Satanists really don't just sit around and fucking let me ruin someone's life and put these hexes on them. But I thought the movie was great. I just thought it was like kind of like sketchy that they made the movie like based on an event that happened in real life, where the guy was actually a piece of shit and he just killed someone and said the devil made me do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, you know, like Ed and Lorraine were like, maybe the devil did make him do it, because we know they were also both kind of sketchy, and Ed used to kind of beat the shit out of her and like fuck little girls, but we won't get into that.
Yeah.
The movie though, yeah, the movie though, I thought it was solid. The whole Ed having heart problems thing was kind of a weird attribute to give him all of a sudden in this movie, but I know he developed heart problems in real life, so don't think it was anything like that. I think it was separate from these cases, but I thought it was I thought it was filmed nice. I like the acting. I like the premise. There's not much that I didn't like about this movie, and even the twist at the end I did not expect. One thing I didn't like though is them making the actual human witch like kind of like do a little teleport. That was kind of a little goofy to me, but other than that, I didn't have really many qualms with the movie, other than the fact that like there was like some like filler scenes, and like sometimes it was like kind of slow moving at certain points. But I don't know, I sat down and I was like, well, that was enjoyable, but it was also stereotypical for The Conjuring, so
Yeah, that's fair. I think a lot of people had issues with the fact that it did try to, like, you know, gain inspiration from this like real life case, which at the end of the day wasn't really that interesting. Like, it was mainly just like a court trial played out, you know. And don't get me wrong, that sometimes makes for great movies, but in terms of like The Conjuring, like that whole aspect of it was maybe like the first like 20 minutes, and then it kind of like randomly stretched to introduce this subplot that was actually connected to the main plot that then became the main plot. And so it was really kind of just strange how that all happened, you know. And it's like I highly doubt that this weird witch shit happened in real life. And it's like, you're really just pulling in something. You might as well just have made another movie altogether, instead of like, oh, this is based on this famous court trial, but like psych, like it's not really about that, you know.
the thing is, like, in real life, it wasn't even like how it happened in real life. The guy got into a fight with his landlord and then stabbed him a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And I think like I didn't read all that much about it, but it's like the actual resolution for like the trial and everything wasn't even like all that exciting or anything like that. So
No, hell no.
I don't know. I get it though. I mean, I think it was a pretty good movie, you know. I just had like, it wasn't that memorable for me. I just was more, I guess, taken in with a lot of other movies. So it just kind of ended
Yeah,
up near the
probably
bottom of my list. But
probably would have changed for me had I seen 38 movies. You know.
yeah, but I get it. I mean, like I don't think it's a bad movie. Like I don't really think any of the Conjuring movies are like bad or anything.
I
But
did not like the second one that much. I'll
really,
be honest with you. I thought it was pretty bad.
I think I prefer the second one to this one. But hey, that's totally fine. You know, that's why opinions exist. But
Exactly.
yeah, cool. All right, so that is Samael's number 5. Mine is another foreign movie. I've got a couple of these coming up. This one actually got quite a bit of acclaim, and people were talking about this one for a while. Might still be talking about it. I'm not sure. Another Netflix original, either original or exclusive. I'm not sure, but this is that Blood Red Sky.
Oh shit.
Mhm. So a vampire movie did make it into my top 10. And if
Not
you're
surprising
somehow,
at all.
I know, if you're somehow not familiar with this one, guys, this is the one with the mom vampire and her young son on the airplane. Basically, vampires on a plane without Samuel L. Jackson, and it's what is this one? I think this is a German movie or something.
Was it German or Dutch?
I don't know. So I want to say German. I'm not totally sure.
I saw the preview for it and I was like, all right, these are some hinga dinga durgan motherfuckers. So
Yeah. Honestly, like I don't know what it was about this movie. I really enjoyed it. I guess I probably do have a little bit of a bias toward vampire movies anyway, but I thought this one was really cool. Like the vampire makeup and like all the gore effects and everything like that were pretty well done. It was isolated, to the plane. Introduced this cool concept of the plane being like taken over by terrorists, and then you got like a fucking vampire in there as well. Arguably, like too many like random elements coming together to form
that's
this,
okay.
but it made like a cool, like entertaining movie.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, and
I'm not.
go ahead.
I'm just not looking to always be moved. I'm just looking to
Yeah,
be entertained and scared and like be like, oh, that was fucking sick.
yeah. Like when she turned into the vampire for the first time, I was like, holy shit! Like that's pretty cool. And she started fucking biting some terrorist necks and just like ripping them off, and blood's going everywhere. I'm like, okay, this is cool. I mean, performance wise too, I think honestly it had some great performances. Yeah, it was a little bit ridiculous, and the plot and everything wasn't like the best, but I don't know. I thought it was a cool movie. I'm on Letterboxd right now, and I think a lot of people are giving it way too hard of a time, but I don't know. I enjoyed it, man. So that made my top 5. Number 4.
Number 4, and I mean, yeah, it's this one. People can be like, well, is it a movie technically? Yes, it is. It has multiple parts, and I think you know what I'm talking about. This one, I watched it I think the night it came out, because I was waiting for it. And then once it dropped, I watched it, and I was like, wow, I like the vibes of this movie. I like everything about it. And I'm, of course, talking about Fear Street 1994.
Yep.
It was so much fun, dude. Like, hella Goosebumps vibes, hella 1990s vibes. I liked the fact that they didn't tell us right away what the fuck was going on and didn't spoon feed us the plot. There was no spoon feeding in this movie. The main character was kind of, her little brother was cool as hell. I also like the fact that, like, some of the main characters, like, bit the dust out of nowhere and shocked the fuck out of me, dude. I was like, I literally watched it like this. Because I didn't think when they were, like, struggling that they were going to, like, bite the dust, and then they just fucking did. Like, in a very gruesome way. That's what I like about this. I saw, Fear Street, and I was like, oh, some R.L. Stine shit, it's going to be fun for the kiddies. And then, like, heads exploding and, like, blood everywhere. And I'm like, oh, shit, son. Oh, shit. I was pleasantly surprised. I went in with low expectations. And you know me, I'm a product of 80s and 90s nostalgia. And this one just fucking did it for me. I was so entertained. And I was so happy watching this. It was perfect to me.
Yeah, I agree, honestly. Like this one made my top 20. It was number 17, but I mean, I think it deserves a lot more credit than that. Like it was a really cool movie. And it was, I think, one of the more successful movies in terms of adapting all the 80s and 90s style like horror content. Like it had a lot of great kind of Easter eggs and like callbacks, but it was also its own thing, which is really important.
Exactly.
And I mean, regardless of the fact that it set up like a pretty cool trilogy, I wasn't like that huge on like the overarching story and everything.
No.
It was okay, but just like kind of what it did in terms of being like a slasher throwback kind of, yeah, I thought it was cool. I agree that like I thought all the kills were actually like pretty bold, to do all
I was
that. And
shocked.
yeah, like when she got fucking like killed by that bread slicer or
I
whatever.
was just about to mention the
Dude,
bread slicer.
that was
I
sick.
I didn't think they were gonna. I thought it was just gonna cut to like the killer's face and then blood splattering on his face, but nope, it sure fucking didn't.
Yeah, it did not. It did not. Yeah. Really cool, honestly. Like I think that's a good one. And super rewatchable. Like the whole trilogy
Yes,
itself. Like I think you could have like a cool little like, binge watch of the trilogy and everything. But 1994 specifically, I think is super rewatchable and just a lot of fun.
I swear. I'm probably gonna rewatch it again here soon because I only watched all of them once. So
Yeah, same here. So yeah, I might too, honestly. Like a lot of these movies that came out this year I think are pretty rewatchable. Malignant, Fear Street, all those are a lot of fun. My number 4, honestly, I don't really want to go back to anytime soon, just because it's kind of a lot to take in. But
yeah,
I do think it's a really good movie. So, this one, unsurprisingly, is a Thai film, talked about quite a bit, pretty well acclaimed. This is The Medium. So
I've
this
seen
is
it everywhere. Like,
you got to check it out. It's honestly like really good. This is one where it kind of like has that mix between the found footage and the kind of more standard cinematic style, but I think it works for this movie anyway because it's kind of like a documentary thing, so the shots that feel cinematic, you can kind of accept that they're part of like the documentary format. Honestly, I just think it's a really well done movie. It's about a Thai shaman who is basically trying to figure out what's going on with, I believe, her niece, if I'm not mistaken, who's starting to develop some like, kind of like standard signs of like possession, basically. But it does play out a little bit like stereotypical as far as like the possession stuff goes. Like, she starts not remembering like what's going on like in the middle of the night, and like just, looking all haggard and vomiting and all this type of crazy shit. But the way that the movie is actually designed is really cool, with the kind of, part found footage and everything, just gives you this sort of like you're in the movie, like this close feeling to the movie and everything. And honestly, there are some actually pretty terrifying elements to it, and I just think it's really well done. The final act is batshit crazy, which is always enjoyable, and I love the atmosphere and everything. I think it's just a really well done movie, and actually, has some pretty scary parts. So definitely worth checking out. If you're not a fan of foreign horror, this might get you into it. I don't know, but I think it's worth a shot.
I'll have to check it out.
It's good, dude.
You just gotta send me a list of some stuff that's gonna truly unsettle me.
I will. I will. All right. Number 3. We're getting down to the end here, Sam.
Alrighty, for my number 3, and it shouldn't come surprising because I'm me. And I'll just go out and say it. Fear Street 1978. You give me a campground slasher with some weird paranormal fucking reasoning behind it, and I will love it. I love fucking Friday the 13th. So I'm going to love movies like Friday the 13th. Any campground slasher, any sleepaway camp, The Burning, whatever, I'm going to like it. And yeah, I know Fear Street 2 in a row, whatever though. I'm telling you, man, this trilogy, I really enjoyed the first two. The first two literally just give me those brain tingles when I watch it. I don't know how to explain it to you. There's just an insane amount of serotonin coursing through my veins. I like our main character. I did not like her sister, you know, the little fucking goody two shoes bullshit, you know,
Yeah.
why are you being like this? She's a teenager. She's angsty. Oh, we're not close anymore. You're teenagers. No siblings are close when they're teenagers. Like,
It's
you're
true.
both going through puberty and shit. And you fucking, if I saw two teenagers that were like fucking siblings and they were like best friends, I'd be like, yo, what's wrong with you, my guy? But like,
Yeah.
I enjoyed the kills. I enjoyed the story unraveling without once again them spoon feeding us anything. Like, it slowly did it. Like, that's what I like about this trilogy. And this one is also rewatchable just as much as the first one. Like, I
Mhm.
can watch these two back to back. I wasn't a giant fan of the third one, so I'm gonna give you a spoiler. It's not on my list. These two are, and I don't know. The campground one was super fun for me. They had some classic music playing in the background too, like the kind of stuff that I like. Everyone was dressed like they would be in 1978, but they kind of don't look like it. Mainly because I guess I'm just used to seeing teenagers that are like adults cast as teenagers, you know,
Mhm.
from the 1980s. And
Yeah.
this one, it was like actually kids and shit. And I think one wasn't someone from Stephen King's It, the fucking remake, in here. I can't remember seeing
Uh,
someone.
yeah, there might have been a
The
cameo, but
fat
I'm
kid,
not
I think.
personally okay.
I think it might have been. I don't remember, but like, I just remember watching this one and being like, wow, two out of the three, two in a row were fucking great. And honestly, like, I'm gonna sit down soon and rewatch this one once I knock out a few more from 2021. But honestly, the Fear Street has been one of the more solid things to happen in 2021 as far as fun, watchable, rewatchable movies. And no spoon feeding, no weird metaphor bullshit, no art house, fart house stuff. Like, it was just straight to the point, and it was bloody, it was gory, and it was fucking fun, man. It was what I wanted it to be. I was not disappointed by this one.
Yeah, I can agree with all those points, man. I like this one too. It was kind of down my list a little bit, but I think that was mainly just because I preferred the first one, honestly.
Yeah.
But the second one was really cool, and I think the production design was pretty effective. You know, as far as like capturing that campground slasher feel. It had several of the killers, which was definitely cool, and I actually think this one probably did the best job out of the trilogy of making the like plot pretty like interesting. I don't know what it was, just because like we're going back in time and we're kind of seeing how everything unfolds. The third movie tried to do that by like taking you to the origin, but I don't know, it just wasn't quite as engaging, I think, as the first and second movies. But yeah, I enjoyed the second one. It was really cool.
Yeah, well, I wasn't like necessarily upset or disappointed by the third one. I felt like it was a satisfying conclusion, but just the first two are where all like the R.L. Stein joy
Mm.
is at. Like, I just thought they were fine, man. Like, I mean, if there's any movie I'm gonna rewatch that I've watched recently, is it's gonna be the Fear Street trilogy.
So my number three, I actually mentioned this one to you, and surprisingly, it overtook the medium. I had the medium up there, but I saw this one, and I don't know, I was pretty thoroughly freaked out by it, and I just ended up really enjoying it. This one is Caveat.
Man, I'm watching that tonight, man. Tonight.
Yeah,
Is
turn
it
off
creepy? Is it
it.
atmospheric? Is it?
This one's dude. This one's fucking creepy as shit. So I'll say this much: it's a very minimalist horror movie. Okay, like there's not really a lot to it. It's got like this, vague kind of supernatural plot. It all takes place in one house on this like dinky, creepy little island. But the majority of the film is in this house. There are some like kind of flashback scenes that are used to like set up the story and highlight the characters and like their backstories and motivations and everything. But the really good stuff, in my opinion, happens just in the house. It's mysterious, and I would say honestly, this is probably the creepiest, scariest movie that I've seen this year.
Hell
And
yeah, yeah. I'd have to watch it. I'm literally tonight, dude. I'm
yeah,
making food, grabbing snacks, and we're watching this.
it's great. I mean, it's just kind of like that subtle tension and creepiness. You know what I mean? Like there isn't really anything insane that happens, and there's no like huge jump scares really or anything like that. But there are just several moments that are great. There's constant dread and tension. Like, there's just like this bed of creepy music throughout like most of the movie. And basically the plot is this guy, for whatever reason, gets asked to do a job. He has to babysit this strange girl. Like, she goes through these kind of like almost like schizophrenic episodes where she like shuts down and has to be guarded. Her parents are dead or missing, and it's just like her uncle who asked this guy to babysit her for a little while. And so he goes, but the thing is that he has to be chained up to this harness because he can't go into certain rooms of the house. So that introduces this pretty cool little plot element where, the main character is restricted from areas of the environment, right? The setting. And so like both he and the viewer kind of like don't know what's going on. Like, they're both in the dark and you kind of have to figure things out with him. But there's also this like creepy supernatural element to it. And, things going like bump in the house and everything like that. So that aspect of it is really cool. And yeah, dude, there are just some fucking creepy ass scenes to it. And it's almost like, I'll say this much, like the tone and the vibe and everything are similar to Possum.
Okay.
But it's not quite so like psychological, like metaphorical and shit like that, like there's actually this substantial kind of supernatural thing going on. And yeah, I think you'll like it. I think you'll see what I mean with the creepy, like scary shit. At one point, I was actually like almost shielding my eyes because I was pretty sufficiently creeped out. It was like 1:00 in the morning, fucking all the lights were off and everything, and yeah, so that's the first time I've done that in a while. So
Hell yeah, dude. I mean, I saw you watching it on your story because I opened up your story and I was like, caveat. I saw that on Shudder, I think.
yeah. This was maybe the biggest surprise because like not a lot of people really talked about this movie. It really flew under the radar and just kind of randomly popped up on Shudder. But yeah, I don't know. I was really impressed with it.
I can't wait.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, we're getting down to the end here now for real, Samael. Number 2.
Number 2, you might be surprised, but when I pick my top 10, I only pick movies that I had fun with and that I was entertained by. And I was 100% entertained by Paranormal Activity Next of Kin.
All right.
I loved this movie, dude. It was very fucking tense, and I was super, super stoned while I was watching this one. I was watching with my girl, and like the way this movie just crawls along, it doesn't like just fucking go gung-ho and just like feed you a bunch of bullshit. You kind of have this feeling the whole time, like, I think I know what happened. I think this is probably like a cult thing that's going on, because that's been a thing recently, weirdly enough, like with all these cults. And I think it's Hollywood trying to let us know, like, hey man, we're kind of doing some stuff in here that's culty too. So they kind of tell you everything that's going on there without like, by being like, oh, this is just a movie. It's like, no, I but then like, I don't know, this fucking girl, she goes to see her family because her mom fucking ran away a long time ago. She tried to get away from them, but her daughter, stupidly enough, contacts the family, goes back there, and is supposed to be another like avatar for the demon Asmodeus. And she goes there, and everyone's acting sketchy, and everyone's like fucking singing at the table or whatever the fuck, and like it's kind of like fucking weird, and everyone's acting weird, and they won't let them go into this church. All the movies where they're like, you can't go in here, this place is off limits, those movies are always the best, because then you're just like, oh, he told me not to go there, now I have to go there, because obviously that is to make us want to know what is in there, what's going on in there, and then we theorize all these millions of fucking things that could be in there. And then it's weirder than what you expected with the whole underground thing and like the fucking I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but I thought it was, besides the first Paranormal, I would say this is the best Paranormal Activity movie. The rest of them are
Really?
kind of
Wow.
completely ass compared to this one. Maybe the Ghost Dimension was that, or no, number 4 was pretty decent.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think this was the best one because it had nothing to do with the rest of them, and it took on a new story, and I was surprised. I was surprised. I was watching this, and so many times I turned to my girl. I was like, "Why is this one actually good?" And she's like, "I don't know, but it is." Like there was actually shit happening. It wasn't just people sleeping in the bed and then a door closes and then they wake up and like there's a ghost and the door closed and they're like, "Oh, let's go back to
Yeah,
sleep." Like like
that's true. It's probably like the most happening like paranormal activity movie, for
exactly.
lack of a better word, like throughout the movie, because all the other ones like there's some creepy stuff that happens like every 25 minutes, and then like the last like 20 minutes are just fucking like nonstop, like
Yeah.
crazy paranormal shit going on, and somebody's neck is getting snapped or whatever, and
Yep. That always
then like a
happens that way.
yeah, some witch cult comes out. But like for the rest of the movie, not really too much. I mean, this one like kind of had that because it was building up, but I would say there was a little bit more to it. Although I do think this movie actually is connected to the other movies, because
You think so?
yeah, I think the girl is actually like a family member of the original two like women who were like possessed or
It
whatever.
was.
I
I remember there
believe.
was Katie, and then I don't remember the other one.
I think it was like, wasn't it like Sarah or something, some shit like that?
I know one of them was
So I
Katie. She was like the one that was like a witch or whatever.
yeah, which whoever the main one was that I think takes off with like the baby or something. I kind of forget some of the plot
Katie, I'm
strands,
pretty
but
sure.
okay, yeah, whichever one I think like departs like the first or second movie with like the baby or whatever. I think the girl in Next of Kin is supposed to be. I guess that's why it's called Next of Kin. I think she's like a descendant or like loosely related family member of them or something like that. So it kind of makes sense why she would be looked at as like the vessel. But yeah, honestly, I did enjoy this one like a lot more than I thought I would, because the last few were kind of weird. Like the one with the Hispanic family was not that great, and I think the one like right after that
And then wasn't there
also
like gang
was pretty
members in that
shit.
one or something? Like I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But like this one was actually pretty cool. Like it was definitely the most overproduced like found footage movie. Like it looks fucking
One hundred
beautiful,
percent.
which is not surprising with like modern technology, but definitely way different than all the other paranormal activity movies, which I kind of commend them for doing. Like you can obviously see like something wasn't working with those other ones, and so they did something a little bit different, and I respect them for that. And I do think it was actually pretty cool, like that final act when they went down and everything. Like that was pretty dope. Like that was actually
I
pretty
was
fucking
nervous the
intense.
whole time. The whole
Yeah,
movie I was nervous. Like even with like the old like Amish people like being so like fucking like secretive and everything and
hmm,
like they're fucking killing chicken cult or whatever. Like I don't know,
yeah,
dude. It was just like very unnerving. I don't know, something about the movie just made me completely unnerved.
yeah. I can agree with that, dude. Like I was pretty unnerved during as well. I guess I kind of understand some of the criticisms and everything too, but I mean, as far as like paranormal activity movies go, I think this one was pretty up there.
Surprisingly.
So, all right, my number two is also a very fun one. I had to put this one up so high, I think, because I did have so much fun with it. This movie is just an absolute blast. And much like Fear Street, it harkens back to like a lot of the kind of old school shit that you would find like on TV, but really kind of puts a twist on it because it gives it this gory horror element. You might know what I'm talking about. Came out earlier in the year. It is Psycho Gorman.
Oh my god. Oh, how'd I forget that one? I
Yeah, you
loved
can
that
audible
movie.
it, put it into your top 10 if you want. But dude, this movie was great. Um, I love the premise. I mean, I'm kind of a fan of all the old like Super Sentai, Power Ranger, like all those Ultraman, like that kind of shit. And
Yeah,
this
of
movie
course.
takes all of that stuff, yeah, and just puts this like crazy over the top horror spin on it. It's hilarious. Uh, it's got some really great practical effects, some really cheesy like CGI and stuff, but it works for the movie. And the plot is actually like one of the more unique plots that came out of horror this year, and I really like it. I love all the characters, honestly, and this is one of the horror movies where I can say that is that like all the characters are in some way really enjoyable. Even the main girl, she's like
Even the
obviously
dad, though. I mean,
okay.
he had
Like
an arc, I guess. He had an arc.
yeah, he had an arc. I wouldn't say that he was like a great character or anything, but like he had his moments, you know. Like he was there to fill a role, and I think as far as that goes, he did it pretty well.
I
So
honestly love that movie so much. I didn't
it's
know if we
great.
could count it toward 2021 because Google said it was like technically 2020.
I'm counting it because it technically got like a wide release. I think in 2021. I believe
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but that I believe it
Either way,
did. So I'm
it
counting it.
counts.
Yeah, it counts for me. So, this movie was fantastic. I think it was actually like the first like horror-ish movie I saw like of the year, and I just
Me
immediately fell
too.
in love with it. I gotta go back and watch it
I
soon
watched it
because it's
after you
just
told me to, and then I think I messaged you afterward, like, dude, I fucking love that movie. I was actually gonna get myself a fucking shirt from, I don't know if it was Cavity Colors, but it said, I forgot what the phrase was about the boys. You remember the boys phrase that he said throughout the
yeah.
movie?
Oh, yeah. Fuck. What is it? I don't remember. I don't remember. But I know what you're
It's
talking
okay.
about. Yeah, it's great. This movie has so many like classic one-liners and just so much crazy shit happens. It's just such a blast. Like if you're into any of that kind of old Power Rangers type stuff or anything like that, or even just like campy old horror movies in general, you'll find some kind of enjoyment out of this one. It's just
Hunky
so
Boys.
so much fun. Yeah, yeah, dude. Like the actual like character of Psycho Goreman was fucking great. The costume and everything was fantastic. I love all the like little side characters as well. Like the when the kid gets turned into the giant brain, that shit is so fucking hilarious to me.
Dude, that shit was, and he was just walking around the whole movie as just a giant fucking brain.
Yeah, it's
Did
great.
they
Like
ever turn him
honestly,
back? I don't think they did.
I don't think so. I think he just stayed as a brain. It's so good.
Well, at least he wasn't a penis.
That's true. That is true.
Could have been walking around
I
as a dick
love.
the whole movie.
Could have been, yeah. Yeah, I love all the like little side characters and everything. Like the federation of characters who are like trying to capture Psycho Goreman. Like those are all pretty cool. I just love the creativity behind this movie and just the willingness to just commit to the fucking over the top ridiculous nature of basically horror Power Ranger type shit. I think it's just fantastic. So not going to be for everybody. I think this one is definitely one where if you're not into this style at all, you're probably going to hate it. You're going to watch this movie and be like, what the fuck is this? But it's obviously very intentionally made to be over the top, ridiculous, and funny. And, you just got to kind of let loose and like let yourself have a good time with it. So yeah, that's my number 2. I just really liked it. And we're down to the wire here, Sam. Number 1, what is your top horror movie of 2021?
I don't know how you felt about this one. Um, but all I can say is all hail Ratma.
Oh man, okay.
VHS 94. I enjoyed the shit out of this movie. I was waiting and waiting for it to drop. And then I love the Ratma. I loved like the vampire one. I loved like the psycho killer robot thingies, like with the mad scientist. I thought they were all like classic things that would have been like horror movies back in the day, or they would have been like some sort of like urban legend, like in like the 1990s, back when, we were just like lads roaming around in diapers shitting our pants. But like, I don't know, man. I felt like this one was fucking solid. I didn't care for the wraparound story at all, but
No.
definitely the Ratma one and the fucking, I don't know why, I just love the vampire story so much. It seemed like some shit you would see on like fucking Faces of Death, like the
Mm-hmm.
recording style, and then like all these like fucking, VHS's version of like the Proud Boys.
Yeah.
And I thought it
Maybe
was pretty fucking sick.
it was. I'll say this much. That one was actually maybe my least favorite one. Although I
You think
think that
so?
the actual I don't know. I liked it though, but like I think it was maybe the whole like faux white supremacist thing just like ticked me off, and that's why I didn't like it. Because at first I was like, "What the fuck is going on? Like, this is
Yeah.
such like a strange tale." And then when I actually realized that it was a vampire thing, I actually really liked that part of it because that was actually a pretty unique take on like the
I
whole
really thought
vampire
so.
mythos. Yeah,
Cause
that
like I
part
was
of
like,
it was great.
why are they killing this guy over and over? Like I didn't understand
Yeah.
what was going on.
No, I had absolutely no clue. And then once I realized it, I was like, oh, that's actually like pretty dope. My favorite segment was actually maybe the most like
The funeral home.
plain one. Yeah, dude,
I
that
love that one.
segment was fucking great.
I knew you
Like
would
it
like
was,
that one because I know both of us really enjoy those isolated, like overnight, happen in like a few hours horror movies. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like instead of like spanning across a few weeks. I love that segment too, man. Like just it's perfect. There's a storm, ended up being what, a tornado or whatever. There's a
yeah,
storm, a creepy funeral home, a dead body that's still alive. That was classic. Like that one.
yeah,
Yeah, I would say that one is the best segment. And then the killer robots that are half human with the mad scientist one. I felt like that one was like fire. Like I don't know why. Like
yeah.
it
That
was.
was cool.
I just really enjoyed that one, man. Like, but the Ratma one was pretty fucking wild. Like
Hmm.
it gave me anxiety when she was trying to talk to the fucking naked man in the sewers with like right up to him, like, excuse me, sir. Like I don't know. Like it just the whole movie was just. I felt like it was super unique and. The vampire segment has nothing like that has ever been done before, and I thought it was solid.
Yeah, honestly, there was a really good like breadth of segments in this particular VHS because a lot of stuff that kind of like contrast with each other, but there's a lot of variety. It's really cool. Like the first two, I think it was the first two, the Ratma and the Wake
Funeral
one.
home.
Yeah, they were like had some really good buildup of suspense, which I think is partly why I really like the funeral home one. Like that one, I think the suspense was off the charts. Like it was just great because of the isolated setting, because she was just there alone and like creepy shit was happening. Like the coffin would move or, bump or whatever. And it was a very classic type of horror tale, but I think it was just done really well. And that's totally fine. Like sometimes if you do the basic classic stuff really well, like that's why it works. That's why it became so well regarded in the first place and like inspired so much shit, because it can just be super effective. And I really dug the atmosphere of it. The Ratma one, pretty much the same thing. And obviously the creature was super cool. So
Yes.
I think that one's gonna be like, you know kind of a classic pretty soon.
I hope so. It needs to be. I
Yeah.
mean, I felt like this one, like, it was talked about for like a day, and like, I think it flew under the radar for the most part because the original VHS and the sequels were like fucking. Everyone would talk about them. Like, you seen VHS? That one's fucking solid. Yeah, it's gonna be on my
Yeah.
Halloween list. Everyone. But like, this one was like. And like Shutter doesn't get like the eyeballs it deserves to get because like you got all these people posting on these groups asking everyone, should I get Shutter? And then some asshole who's not even like a giant horror movie fan, or he's like so jaded, he's like, no, it's not worth it. And then you miss out on all these exclusive Shutter releases, so it's very annoying.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. I mean, I guess, Shutter is still at that point where they don't have probably like the biggest fucking marketing budget, so it's not all their shit like goes out, but I think enough people are probably using Shutter. And I mean, VHS 94 did get some eyes, but I agree. I think it deserves a bit more attention. I would say honestly, in terms of like just the segments themselves, probably maybe the strongest VHS in terms of just like the individual segments.
Yeah.
But the wraparound story fucking sucked. I hated it. If the wraparound story was better, I think this one could possibly even be maybe the best VHS, apart from along maybe the first one. But yeah, I can totally see why it would be your number one. I think overall, a really enjoyable movie. My number one, I don't think you've seen this one yet, but did come out in theaters pretty recently. Again, one of those that might have been a little bit overlooked, but I actually saw it with our good friend the caretaker, and
Oh.
we both really enjoyed it. And I was just, I don't know, man. I just dug this movie a lot. I think it did a lot of really cool things. And this is the newest one by David Bruckner, who actually was a contributor for the original VHS, contributor
Oh,
for Southbound. He did The Signal, The Ritual on Netflix, if you remember that one.
yes. I remember we reviewed that one.
And he's going to be helming the new Hellraiser reboot that we talked about last episode. This one is The Night House. And I'm pretty sure we did cover this movie back when like it was first announced on Grave Discussions. I think we talked about it. If not a trailer, we probably talked about just like the announcement of it. But I finally got around to seeing it. This was like technically a 2020 movie that got its wide release this
it
year.
counts. It counts if it's wide
counts.
release.
It counts to me. And yeah, we finally saw it, and I just thought it was just a really, really well made horror movie. I will say there are definitely some super creepy moments, not quite to the same extent as like Caveat or anything, but overall as like a complete like package of a horror movie, this one was just my favorite of the year. I think everything in this movie worked. It had some really cool stuff going on. Basically, this woman played by Rebecca Hall, who put on an incredible performance. Maybe my favorite performance of the year. Not really sure. I'd have to kind of look into that. But she did a fantastic job. Her husband dies. He commits suicide in the middle of the lake that's by their house. So you can kind of maybe see where this is going. Like there's similar premises out there, right? But she starts feeling a presence in the house. You know, she thinks it's her husband. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I'm not going to say anything. So, you know, she's dealing with her grief as she continues to encounter this spirit or whatever it is in the house. And she starts digging into her husband's life, basically, right? Because she starts kind of figuring out these secrets about his life, like right before he did what he did. And I think that's one of the parts of the movie that I really actually appreciated, is that there's a great mystery behind what's going on, and the exploration of it was really intriguing, captivating, compelling, kept you engaged with the movie, you know. And she starts finding out about all this kind of stuff, how he was building this other house nearby their house and digging into some like supernatural stuff. And the supernatural thing of this movie is actually like pretty unique. I haven't really seen anything like it so much in any other movie. And it kind of catches you off guard, because the thing about this movie is it almost comes off as like a typical haunted house movie, but it's not quite. Like it kind of takes a lot of those elements, but it does some cool, unique things with them as well. And there are some genuinely freaky and suspenseful moments in this one too. I wouldn't really say like super scary per se, but definitely some good creepy moments. And I mean, the guy just knows how to like craft an effective horror movie, you know? And there are a lot of really cool moments like that in the movie. And like plot wise, it's great. Performances are great. Cinematography, really good, top notch. So just as like, I don't know, the movie is the kind of the complete package for me. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So it didn't like amaze me, but as far as like movies that were released this year go, I don't know, it stood out to me the most, and I really enjoyed it.
Hell yeah! And where can we watch this?
So I did have to rent this one, so I don't think it's out like for free streaming anywhere yet, but it probably will be. So you can rent it anywhere. It's worth it. It's a good movie.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So guys, that's gonna do it for our top 10 lists. We'll share our list, I'm sure, on the website and anywhere else, so you can go check them out. We're super curious about your list as well. And actually, now that I'm talking about this, I completely realized that I forgot to mention what I was going to say earlier in regards to our 100th episode thing. I thought it might be cool if we did a little giveaway maybe. And
Oh, we could do that.
I was thinking because we haven't done them yet. Um, haven't done any shirts with our new logo on them, and I was gonna get us some, and I thought it could be cool to give away one of those shirts to a lucky fan. So, in celebration of our 100th episode. So, if you've stuck around to this point, I'll make a note of it. We'll probably put it on social media or something since I was gonna say it earlier and just forgot. But if you're listening, we'd love for you to participate in this giveaway. So I'm going to figure out all the rules and everything, but I think listen to this episode and, make sure you're following us on social media and everything. Subscribe to the show on your favorite platform. I'm going to figure out an actual kind of like a contest thing of how to enter, but I'm going to do that. And that's going to go live, I think, shortly after this episode drops. And then you'll be able to enter. And sometime probably after the new year, gonna get it together. We're gonna pick a winner and get you a free Grave Discussion shirt.
Hell yeah! When are we getting our shirts? I'm fat as hell right now. By the way, I wear an XL.
Oh well, I mean, I don't know. I'll get you an XL. I'll send out something pretty soon, I think.
Are we gonna Are we gonna have our names on the back with our favorite number, like it's a jersey?
Yeah, we can do that if you want. There's a lot of customization options and shit. I was trying to find a good custom shirt website to use, and I have a couple options right now, but
don't get anything that's 100% cotton,
okay,
because the second you fucking wash it with hot water
it'll
and throw it in the dryer, it'll shrink.
Yeah, I'll try to find a good quality material. So if you know one, then let me know. But
yeah, I was gonna say I can look too.
Cool.
I'll find some stuff. Usually, what's this one website called? Let me pull this up real quick. I think it was called Red something.
Okay.
Maybe Redfin. I don't know. That better not be something that I should have. Is it Redfin? No, that's real estate.
Okay.
I'll figure it out, but we gotta get these shirts, mate.
Yeah, we'll get a good quality shirt, and so whoever the winner is of the giveaway, you'll get a nice, good quality Grave Discussion shirt. Hell, if you want, we'll put your name on it too. We'll give you a number. We'll fucking customize it however you want.
We'll put 01 on the back of it and it'll be for our number one fan.
Perfect. All right, sounds excellent. So one lucky fan will get that free shirt. So stay tuned for how to enter that. And yeah, thank you again to everybody who's listened. I mean, this is a huge milestone for us. I always knew we'd get to the 100th episode, but it's still kind of exciting to be at this point, and expect many, many more. And I think this is a great episode. Always love talking movies with you, Samael. And is
Me
there
too,
anything
man.
else you want to say?
Not much, man. I just can't believe we've been we're 100 episodes in, dude, and we're not gonna stop. We're back in our groove, and we're gonna keep staying in our groove because, honestly, the past year with minimal Grave Discussions has been fucking miserable, and yeah. I've really missed it. I've really, really missed it. My friend Woodsy Toast, aka Brian Tyler, he said he listened to the last episode, and it's he's just happy we're back.
Yeah, me too, dude. I've been getting the same messages, and I love geeking out about horror, and I'll take any opportunity I can to do that. So, I'm looking forward to all the next episodes. Next year is a new year. We do plan on releasing more episodes regularly again. So I'm not sure completely about, the time frame and how often we'll release just quite yet, but we'll try to get an episode out there as often as possible, guys. So, don't put us away. We're going to be coming back with brand new Grave Discussions content in 2022. Fingers crossed for just a better year in general. And I can't wait for all the new movies and games and series and shit to come out, because horror is still as strong as ever, man.
Evil Dead video game's coming out soon, man.
Yes.
Was it February? Dude,
Something
it
like
better
that.
be cross-platform so we can play together.
I think it is. I believe it is.
Oh, we're about to have so much fun, dude.
Oh yeah. Yeah, dude, I can't wait. So
I
much
can't
exciting
fucking
stuff
wait.
coming out. We're gonna be talking about it and what we're most excited about. So stay tuned. That'll be, I'm sure, in the next couple of episodes here. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, guys. Go to gravediscussions.net. Check out all the past episodes. Subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform, whatever that is, and just, reach out to us with whatever you got. But that's going to be it for episode number 100.
And hopefully next time we can maybe, we wait for like a random, movie to drop on Netflix or Hulu or what it may be. We can start off with like a good chopping block episode.
Yeah, man. I'd be down for that. Anything sounds great.
And then for Cult Corner, we can like, maybe revisit some like hidden gems from like the 80s and 90s that neither of us saw. Like I could take a look at like my inventory and be like, "Hey, can you get a hold of this? Like let's do maybe a Cult Corner on this one." And then I don't know, man. It's going to be a fresh new year. We're back at it, and like I'm just glad we're back, dude. It almost feels the same. It's just the movies have been kind of like spaced out so much because of the pandemic still, and it's been rough.
I feel you, man. Well, I mean, hopefully things improve and we're able to kind of get out there and see some more movies. Hopefully we'll get more quality movies. I think we will. We're going to be hopefully starting off strong with Scream and
oh my gosh.
who knows?
I can't wait. I'm so excited for that.
Me too, dude. I think for sure we're going to do an episode on that. So
we have to.
Just
we have
tuned,
to.
guys. Yeah. Stay tuned. But all right, this has been, I think, going on long enough. So we'll wrap it up here, Sam. A pleasure as always, and just stay tuned for the next one, guys. We will see you next time
on Grave Discussions in 2022.
This has been an SRD production.